I'm gonna share with you 5 editing mistakes that are really the difference between amateur and pro videos on YouTube. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly what you need to do to elevate your videos to a whole nother level. Now, when you click on a video, how often do you click on it and then you get a whole bunch of information that wasn't what you actually clicked on the video for? I think it's safe to say that that happens pretty often. So when you're editing the beginning of your video, I think it's important to keep the viewer in mind because they have the same mentality that you do. And if they're not getting value when they click on the video right away, they're most likely gonna click off. But value is like really broad when it comes to describing how the intro of your video should be. So what I do is I think about it this way. I ask myself, am I reinforcing the title and thumbnail as quickly as possible? Or am I asking them to like, comment, subscribe, introducing myself? And the reason you have to reinforce the title and thumbnail quickly is because there's so many different options out there. You got short form content, you got all these other videos which is oversaturated on YouTube. And so you definitely gotta make sure that you're leading with that value. I think there's ways that you can introduce yourself throughout your video, but I definitely would keep it out of the intro. Another way I like to think about leading with value in the intro is establishing trust.
Son of a bitch.
They need to know that they're gonna get what they actually clicked on the video for. You can over edit the crap out of your intro, but if you're rambling and not getting to the point, not reinforcing the title and thumbnail, the viewer is most likely gonna click away because you're wasting their time. Now, the next thing you wanna do is be intentional with your editing. Like you want every single cut to have a reason for being there. And one thing that's really helped me is asking myself why I'm doing a certain thing when editing my video. Like really thinking about why those things exist, like transitions or certain cuts, or music and everything like that, and really analyze why you're doing those specific things because they're gonna have an effect on the viewer. Like you can put text up on the screen or add B-roll or do a J cut or a match cut, but what was your reason behind doing those things? Like all those things exist and have been done in film for so long because they have a certain meaning and they make people feel a certain type of way. Like if you add certain kinds of music, that can affect the emotion that you're trying to convey in your video. And that could be all the reason why your video is interesting or it's not. And the reason you're being intentional with your editing is because you're working towards something, which is the story. In my opinion, I think every video on YouTube should have some sort of a story, and I'll explain why. Think of your YouTube video like a conversation that you're having with a person. I like to compare how to tell stories like having a conversation because we've all had conversations with somebody, and some that are really good storytellers and then some that are kind of like all over the place and they talk really fast, or kind of like how I'm doing right now, right? But they talk really fast or they talk too slow or they don't get to the point. Those same things happen in your videos. Imagine you're meeting this stranger for the first time and they're telling you a story and it's all over the place, like they don't really get to the point. Or when they first walk up to you, they start talking to you about something you've never heard of before and it just completely blows your mind. That is what I think about when I think about storytelling, is that conversation that you're having with the viewer. Comparing story in a YouTube video to having a conversation with someone is just my way of being able to simplify how to tell a story. But that doesn't mean that that is what a story actually is. Think of story as the impact or the change that you made that person feel in that conversation. This next mistake is so commonly made and is so hard to describe or explain to someone, but I'm gonna try to simplify it the best that I can, and that's pacing. Like think of pacing as the ups and downs in your conversation or in your story. You have to experience high points, you have to experience low points. I think in this world right now where short form video is so popular, we make the mistake of trying to get to the point as quickly as possible in our videos. And if you were to compare that to a conversation, that would simply be like someone talking as fast as humanly possible. It would get boring and exhausting very quickly. If you're all over the place with your topics, it's gonna be confusing and that's going to affect that trust with the viewer. And that's where it goes back to being intentional with your editing, because those different cuts you make are going to communicate things differently. Like faster cuts are gonna communicate something completely different from longer cuts. And improper cuts are the next mistake that I see creators making all the time. Now at this point, you may or may not know what a J cut is, but to simplify, it's just really just introducing the next clip with the audio before you actually see the visual. Like that type of cut has a meaning associated with it. What you're doing is you're introducing the sound from the next scene and you're preparing that viewer for what's coming next. And this is used in a lot of talking head videos, it's really popular. Another type of cut is the jump cut. And the reason for the jump cut is to show the passing of time. And a lot of creators, including myself whenever I was first getting started, just thought that a jump cut was supposed to cut out all the silences in your video. But the silences in your video may actually hold some sort of meaning as well. Like if you hold on to that clip just a little bit longer, that can make the viewer feel uneasy, or it could create a whole different effect. So when you're making cuts, you definitely want them to be intentional. And this goes back to showing rather than telling. Like a picture's worth 1,000 words. You can show something up on the screen and a viewer can automatically know what you're trying to say without you having to say anything. Where I see this being done wrong is when a creator shows the entire montage of everything they did from the time they woke up in the morning to the time they went to sleep. I think about it like having a conversation with someone and them explaining to me everything they did from the time they woke up to the time they went to sleep. And yeah, it's impressive that they can remember everything like that, but I really just want like the high points of their day, the things that are interesting. One way that I like to think about it is how can I show this scene using the least amount of cuts possible? Now, if you want to learn even more editing hacks YouTubers are using, check out this video right here and I'll see you there.